Chapter 2. A dream turns into a nightmare. Shei's mind was going in circles. He had so many thoughts of how all this could have been avoided if he would have just been a bit more cautious about who he trusted. He thought and thought, seated his back to the cell wall with all hope lost, as it clearly showed on his face. He was so distraught, he even forgot that since leaving his village, he hadn't even had a single decent meal. He decided to calm himself and at least ask the policeman if there was any way he could be helped. After calling out for a while, he finally gave in and just slept on the 2.5-foot bed. He dozed off, and for a time he seemed to be at peace. His peace was cut off by the sound of banging on his cell door and a tray of food being slid through the small hatch at the bottom of the door. He was so hungry that he didn't even think twice about rushing to the food. He had been served a combination of things which didn't stop him from hogging out. It wasn't how he would prepare them, but he just didn't care. After cleaning out his tray, he went and sat back on his bed and came to the realization that this wasn't such a bad deal. He had somewhere to sleep and food, which were the biggest concerns. After what seemed to him like an hour, the cell door was opened up and another detainee was led into the cell. He came prepared with his bed. The cell was fairly spacious, which worked out for both of them. His new cellmate, Murray, was quite chatty, and they seemed to connect from the word go. Murray seemed to have had a hard life, which was evident from his numerous scars across his arms, his knuckles and face. Shei narrated to him his ordeal, which seemed to amuse Murray a lot. He didn't know why somebody would just give up their freedom by accepting to voluntarily get in a cell. He explained to Shei the nature of his dream, and this seemed to hit him hard. The norm was due to the high nature of corruption in the police. People who would be found on the wrong side of the law for petty crimes and who weren't looking to be sentenced or fined heavily would forego their freedom for 2 weeks, and in those weeks be matrons of the premises and be responsible for all the housekeeping, cooking, and other menial duties, and the money meant to hire guys to do such tasks would be divided among the high-ranking cops in the station, which was what Murray had opted for, having been caught in an illegal drinking den in one of the famous slum areas of the city. Shei, having no other option and having his resolve drained, he decided 2 weeks with guaranteed shelter and food was a luxury he could not afford to lose. It seemed like he was in a nightmare that he couldn't wake up from, but what could he do? Catch me next time for the continuation of Shei's adventures in the big city.